I've been playing Animal Crossing New Horizons since it first came out, and have since spent roughly 500 hours of my life into crafting my ideal island paradise. I've achieved pretty much everything that there is to do in the game, and with virtually infinite time to meticulously perfect Lineland, I found myself asking, now what? It all started to lose meaning. Sure, I could build new sections to my island, or continue completing an endless laundry list of tasks for my villagers, but what was the point of doing it all if there would always be more to do? The meaninglessness of infinite life is hardly a new concept. Moral philosopher Bernard Williams argues that immortality would be, were conceivable at all, intolerable. He explains that our reasons to live are grounded in categorical desires, ambitions that would be left unsatisfied if we were to die in the present moment. These desires allow us to view the future as an object of hope, onto which we project the possibility of fulfilling our personal quests. On this basis, death would be viewed as a misfortune because it cuts short the amount of time we anticipate having to satisfy our categorical desires. However, Williams claims that an endless life would be a meaningless one, because there is no desirable or significant property which life would have more of if we lasted forever. He explains that activities that go toward fulfilling categorical desires are meaningful to an individual because they offer them intellectual benefit. Therefore, there is no essential property to them that makes them timelessly fulfilling or liberating to an individual just as themselves. He states that the monotony of engaging in eternal activities would make the question of their purpose unavoidable, so that an individual must consider what campaign they are supposed to be serving. Certainly, my experience playing Animal Crossing has demonstrated this concept of eternal monotony. When I first spawned onto my island, each new objective I received presented a new and exciting opportunity. My categorical desires were the campaign plot points of the game. These hopes kept me engrossed, promising me a vision of my future island. But when I fulfilled them over time, and began playing the game just as it was, I realized that there was not much more that it could offer me beyond what I already had. Playing Animal Crossing endlessly showed me that infinite life becomes meaningless, which led me to wonder, what could Animal Crossing teach us about the meaning of living a finite life? To do my own theorizing, I began a new game of New Horizons and decided that after 7 hours, I would permanently delete my save file to explore mortal living in a virtual world. After booking my island getaway package at the Dodo Airlines registration desk, I was promptly whisked away on a flight to my new life in paradise. However, upon my arrival, I was faced with a nasty surprise when I was introduced to my villagers Jitters and Sherry, for whom I instantly developed a strong, burning hatred for. When Tom Nook asked me to help them with pitching their tents, I placed them as far away from mine as possible. That night, I was tasked with choosing a name for our island at our welcoming ceremony, and after giving this hefty decision much thought, I decided to name it Despair. Naturally, everybody loved my idea. Playing Animal Crossing with a time limit ignited in me an unexpected existential angst. At first, I went down the nihilistic path. Like Dostoevsky's Underground Man, I felt the urge to revenge my deserted surroundings, which felt dismal compared to my old island, and the paradise I had been promised. Instead of working toward fixing my problems by playing along with the slow-moving pace of Animal Crossing's early game, I took out my anger on my villagers. I placed fires outside their homes and wrote them mean letters on the island-wide bulletin board. But eventually, I ran out of steam. Just as the Underground Man, I realized that the arbitrary reasons that grounded my feelings of bitterness had evaporated. I wasn't acting to make a statement against my cohabitants as much as I was despising myself in my new surroundings. Dostoevsky's protagonist asks, why is it that man is so passionately fond of destruction and chaos? And he answers, because man is instinctively afraid of reaching the goal and completing the building he is erecting. Knowing that I didn't have much time to perfect my island the way I had with my original game made me destroy things in a bid to act antithetically. But unlike the Underground Man, I tried not to dwell on my spitefulness after realizing its pointlessness in my progression. At the same time, I didn't prioritize completing tasks for Tom Nook either. I did just enough to gain materials and tools to move forward, but I was compelled to do things my own way. I let go of my past fixation on designing a perfect island, since I knew that my finite life wouldn't allow me to endlessly obsess over the precise placement of plants and furniture. Instead, I did what I enjoyed most in Animal Crossing. I spent most of my time fishing and catching insects, and running around exploring the views on my island. This quantity over quality approach to life is explored by Albert Camus, who states that what counts is not the best living, but the most living. Camus argues that human rules of conduct and values only transpire through the many experiences that we encounter throughout our lifetimes. Therefore, we should focus less on these stipulated guidelines and maximize the amount of moments that constitute our human experience. Although our modern lives structure upon us all similar experiences, we all have the power to live in ways that, in his words, face us with the world as often as possible. After all, death renders all our lived moments meaningless, but our revolt against accepting this fate allows us to truly make the most of our moments by having as many of them as possible. In my Animal Crossing life, I rejected the structured plot that Tom Nook tried to guide me in following, and ultimately did everything I could to make the most of my surroundings on my own volition. Before my virtual death, I wrote my villagers a parting letter. I apologized for my past misdemeanors and wished them well. In the end, everything faded into obscurity as I deleted my save file. While playing Animal Crossing didn't teach me the exact meaning of living a finite life, it did make me realize the destruction and spontaneity of my own human nature. However, it reminded me to embrace my own ability to forge my path in this world before my time in it runs out.